Well, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I guess I'm just gonna be chatting. Oh, and let me put on a little music or at it. Just going off a playlist of Endless Legend theme songs. Hopefully the volume's low enough that you can hear me talking. Hmm. Definitely gotta get used to this whole VTubing thing. Need a better camera for sure. Oh, right. I forgot the introduction. So, I'm Phantasma Knight. What did I say to him about myself? Well, I guess I call myself a variety streamer. Well, play a variety of video games. I do some writing streams once in a while. I'm thinking about whether or not I should read stories out loud on stream. Not sure there's really a market for it. I would like to make VTubing my full-time job sometime. Currently, though, I don't even use a VTubing avatar. My head looks tilted. You know what? Let me try to reset the settings one more time. Reset position. Hopefully that's a little better. Yeah, told myself I was just gonna sit here and ramble on for like an hour or so. The time on deck is 2:10 a.m. I don't know what I'm doing. Part of the reason why I picked this time was I've had people show up at, well, they they show up during my usual streams, but they're all on European time, so they're all 8 hours ahead, 12 hours ahead. It's it's a little difficult for them to stop by again, even though they do apparently like my streams. Well enough to stay in chat for a bit. Who knows if my streams are really all that interesting? Probably not. Everyone's got to start somewhere. But you know, sometimes I think about those people. The ones who stop by, the one who just chatted for a while, and you know, that's enough to alleviate some of the, I don't want to say boredom exactly. Like, I do have fun playing the games that I stream. It's just, it gets a little lonely, you know? Just talking to yourself all the time. So it's nice when friends show up. It feels pretty nice when someone that you've never met before shows up and they're just excited about the game as you are. Or maybe they want to check it out and you're just there to show them a good time. But it's a little sad when you don't see them again. I'm a small-time streamer. I've been streaming for what, 7 months now? I don't know. Is my growth rate? I don't know. Is it above average? Below average? Probably not above. Below, possibly. Average? Possibly. Can't really say for sure though. Definitely don't have much experience with this whole virtual avatar thing. I need a better camera for sure. My head looks tilted again. What am I doing? Maybe it's just the way I'm sitting. Maybe it's how the camera is positioned relative to my face. Well, I guess a slight tilt doesn't hurt anyone. Oh, if you're wondering about the avatar itself, so I went to V-Roid's studio to make this avatar. The clothing, the outfit is one of the presets. The rest of it I fit around a little bit. I hope the low darkness in the eyes doesn't look too unsettling. I'm always complaining about being tired on stream, so I figured, hey, why not give myself some permanent shadows? The hair, put some hair on top, not so much on the sides. I wish I could fade it in better. Real life me could do a better fade than this. Yeah, I've done haircuts in the past. And I'm kind of used to short hair because of my brief time in the military. Just reserves, though. Yep, never been deployed. The reserves sometimes do get deployed. It's just I never did. I got next to nothing on my dress uniforms. But yeah, it's kind of nice having short hair. So yeah, I tried to go for more of a fade look instead of the heavy hair you see on a lot of more anime-esque characters. In the front, I put those 5 low spikes to try to make it look a bit more anime-like. And also try to fiddle with the hairline a little bit. Don't like too massive a forehead. And the head itself is too... Well, I mean, it's still round, but it was like too round. Like, I want to make it slightly more blocky, slightly more square. And that's what I did with the hairline. But also, like, right behind the spikes, I added some hair there, so it looks a little flatter, instead of just being this curve. Wow, I can't stay in my head position. Awkward. So yeah, let's see. I've been playing a lot of Hunt recently. Hunt Showdown. If I ever do make it big, probably will advertise this game. I tend to get bored of games pretty quickly, tend to get burnt out quickly. Never had enough of a competitive streak to get good at games, but been playing Hunt for a good few months now and still as engrossed as ever. I guess some of the initial excitement has worn off a little bit. Not to say it isn't exciting. Just earlier, I had a fight where my two buddies went down. One of them, it was his first game, and I got a whole bunch of kills. I think it might have been just the same team, but so many close calls. One person ran away from the fight. It was an exciting time. I managed to take all of them down, or everyone that was still left, revive my buddies, and oh no, it didn't go quite that smoothly. One of them couldn't be revived. Yeah, they set him on fire. Another one I did revive, but then we started seeing that the boss lair, like the boss was being banished, so we decided to go after that target, and yeah, that didn't turn out too well. Turns out there was someone kind of behind to the side, scoped rifle. You know how that goes. You know, in addition to the tilt in my character's head, I'm also kind of wondering about the eyes. I am sleepy right now, which is probably why I'm blinking so much. But one of my eyelids is actually slightly off from the other. It's more noticeable when I'm tired. I think it was from an accident I had when I was little. Well, I'll spare you the details, but long story short, I had to get a little bit of surgery done to repair that eyelid. And it was fine at the time, but I was real young. I want to say it was perfect at the time. And maybe that wasn't the reason why my eyes are slightly off. My eyelids are slightly off. But I'm assuming it's because I, grew older and whatever was repaired didn't grow quite the same way as the other eye. Yeah, it was a long time ago. My eye was perfectly fine after the surgery. And if it was left the way it was, would have looked a little gruesome. My eyeball itself wasn't damaged, just the eyelid. And I don't know if that was it, but I do notice that my right eyelid tends to be slightly droopier when I'm tired. And looking at this, it looks like by default this program doesn't mirror the eyes. Pretty sure that's my right eye on screen that's a little bit more squinted, just very slightly. Let's see, speaking of programs, I'm using VC Face. V as in the letter V, C as in to see, to view something. And face, well, I can't seem to smile. Nope, that didn't work out. So yeah, I found this out for the first time. I was messing around with something in the past called Vroid Studio, which is what I made this avatar in. I didn't actually know how to stream it though. I was using FaceRig before, but there were some preset 3D avatars. And the place I want to go, more 2D stuff, I'd say. So yeah, we're here now. I mentioned I need to get a better camera. I think it only runs like 30 FPS like the most, and I have to sit back in my chair right now. I would not be able to sit this far back and play any of my games. Let's see, I mentioned the music is Endless Legends OST. It's mostly the faction themes. The first song was the main menu music. And what was the group name? I should know this. Well, Amplitude Studios is the company that made the game. But for the life of me, I can't remember what the music studio is called. Let me see if I can figure out real fast. G4F Records. I think that's what it was. Found in my search history. And let's see. Oh yes, the background. The background, I should probably credit this. If I do end up uploading this to YouTube, I'll credit it. Let's see. I see the name's Clément Dartigues. I don't know how to actually pronounce that. Might be French. I don't know the first thing about pronouncing things in French. I mean, there's lots of accents that I can't figure out to do. Like, I'm no good with accents. But French is particularly bizarre to me because I look at it, I see Latin letters in a configuration that looks like it can be pronounced in English. And then it sounds totally different. I should be talking about Hunt too much. I know this is a rambling stream, but I've had too much Hunt on the brain recently. Now that I prefaced it with that, there's a gun called the Berthier in the game. I was thinking maybe it's pronounced Berthier. Then I found out it was French, and it's pronounced a little closer to Berthier. I'm still not saying it right. A similar word would be atelier. Like I when I was little and I read out the letters, I thought maybe it was atelier, and most people pronounce it atelier, but it's closer to atelier. Talking about that one series of JRPGs by Gust, I believe. Main character is almost always some cutesy girl in a fancy dress. Like, I don't know how to describe exactly. I guess fairy-like would be a term that you can use. Fancy fluttery dresses. Not like a sorceress's gown or something like that. Not like a ball. Not like an evening dress for some fancy ball. But it is fancier than what most of the characters typically wear. Like I remember Atelier Totori. Her outfit was a lot fancier than her sister's. Atelier or atelier means workshop. It's a term often used in fantasy to refer to like an alchemist's studio. And studio is the right word. An artist would use an atelier. Speaking of which, I don't know if it's because I'm leaning back in my seat too much. I know my voice is a tad monotone. I was playing a game with someone the other day, and they were like, "Are you talking to chat?" I'm like, "No, I'm not streaming." But yeah, he thought I was reading something out from chat. No, I was just kind of like mumbling to myself, like, "Should have done that. Should have done that." Don't remember what exactly it was. Regrets are a natural part of life. Sometimes they kind of overwhelm you, though. When I was young, there was some story that I read. I want to say it was in fifth grade. I realize if you're not in the United States, fifth grade might not mean the same thing. So I would be about 10 years old, roughly around there. It was a story that involved immortality and something about, I think like one of the questions we had regarding like reading the story was something like, would you want to live forever or something like that. And at the time I couldn't find the words. I said I wouldn't because like the words I used were something along the lines of all the embarrassments in your life would pile up and you wouldn't be able to stand it. Embarrassment is probably not the correct word, although I do imagine if I live forever, a couple hundred years from now, I'd still be cringing about something I did in the distant past, even with my terrible, terrible memory. But what I meant to say was, or that, I don't know is what I meant to say, but a more refined version of the idea would be regrets. It's not the embarrassment, it's not the cringe that you can't stand and makes you want to not live forever, it's all the regrets. And I don't know, maybe I'm being melodramatic. I'm afraid I'm worried I'm a little too old to go into the whole VTubing scene. And I know there's probably people older than me who are trying it, but I've never worried about growing old. Not really. I always worried about growing old without getting anything done, without accomplishing anything. And I've been through a few different jobs, and depending on how I present my history, it sounds pretty interesting, but I feel like I haven't done enough. So yeah, living forever, regrets. At some point when you've built up too many regrets, too many traumas, you might not want to live forever anymore. I actually saw that as not exactly a plot point, but kind of like a minor aside in a story. Manga series about immortals. UQ Holder, if you're curious, sequel to Mahou Sensei Negima. And that one, at one point, one of the characters said something like, "If you find a chance to die, you should consider taking it." Which is a little interesting to say because most of the characters in that story they're immortal, but as in that means they will physically live forever if they aren't killed. And thankfully for them, they don't like grow older and older too. I've seen a couple versions of that in different stories where a character would live forever, but they also get older and more decrepit. There was a Greek myth, I can't remember who exactly. I don't remember the goddess slash nymph involved. I don't remember what the guy was called, or what his role was. But the whatever the girl was, I think she asked one of the gods for a favor, make him immortal. and he was immortal, but he kept getting older and older and more decrepit, and eventually he just turned into like a cricket. So I know that's kind of weird imagery. They have different number of legs from us, but the whole image of people getting more wrinkled and shriveled as they grow older. So yeah, now we have a goddess or a goddess-like being with a immortal cricket. Yeah. There was another related story where the moon goddess, I don't know, was Selene or Selena, probably Selene. Um, she had the chance to make her lover immortal as well, and chose to put him into an eternal sleep. I'm not sure how much sleep affects aging, but in this version of the story, because he was asleep, he would never age. He would dream eternally, dreaming that he held the moon in his arms and that she bore him many children. Probably dead. I feel like modern day, there'd be some concerns about someone, you know, going through the act of procreation with someone who's passed out. Yeah, that could be a little problematic. But I think in the story he did like her and she did like him. Don't know how deep that goes though. Sometimes that line between love and lust, well, I'm not gonna say it's a thin line, but there's kind of an awkward zone between those two. And sometimes there's some overlap as well. Some people might disagree, but I feel like the two are somewhat connected. Like, lust would be a natural biological response, I guess. The desire to continue the species or the tribe or whatever. Continuing the bloodline, so to speak. While love is something that. I mean, like, we have the concept of friendship, right? Family, familial ties. Love is something similar, but a little different. That's why I kind of feel like it ties friendship and lust. And maybe that's. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it. But I do feel like they're connected in some way. Almost as if. And I kind of hesitate to say this. Almost as if love is some rationalization for us as a species. We come up with all kinds of crazy concepts, philosophies, and love would basically be a more civilized version of lust, I guess. I should get off this topic. I feel like someone's gonna bash my head in for this. Not physically. Might be physically. I don't know. Some people take love very seriously. And who could blame them? Some, well, I was thinking like one of the possible goals in life would be. I think the tracking failed from out there. Probably because I shifted around my seat again. One of a person's typical goals in life, like if you didn't know anything about the person, you just had to guess, would be getting into a relationship. Getting married, having kids. Kids aren't for everyone though. And, well, it might be difficult too, depending on various factors, like if the woman is sterile, or if both of them are women, for example. Might make it a little awkward to have kids like that. There's always adoption, of course. But, I mean, that doesn't really tie into the whole connection of, well, I guess it does apply to continuing the species. It might not continue your direct bloodline, but I'd say that the things you pass on to the kid, like teachings-wise, morals-wise, values, those things I believe are more important than just blood. Kids still human after all. Oh, well, presumably human. I actually heard about. Hesitating. Not sure if I should really talk about it, but there was some experiment I was gonna say read about, but more like listened about on YouTube. It involved a family that decided to raise a chimpanzee, with their kid, and there were problematic issues. I don't remember what caused the experiment to end, but at some point they just straight terminated the experiment. Oh, I think it was because the human son, had like somewhat stunted growth compared to I just realized something. I don't think I have my chat thing set up. Like, Yeah, let me actually make sure the restream chat's working. Although my actual chat room is open, so I should be able to tell if someone were to show up and say something. I should just check just in case, though. Let's go over to Twitch, open up my channel, make sure to mute so I don't hear an echo. Yeah, it looks like it's working just fine. Doesn't look like anyone's here, but I mean, is that surprising? It's currently 2:30 a.m. Yeah, 2:30 a.m. where I am, which means on most of the country it's even later than that. And in Europe, like, I mean, if they're 8 hours away, then it's gonna be like 10:30 a.m. on a Sunday. So you figure most people want to like sleep in, right? Although for some people they just get up at like 7 every day. Doesn't matter if they have work or not. Doesn't matter if they have any obligations. And if they're 12 hours away, then well, it'd be 2:30. They're probably off doing other things. Besides, who would want to just like jump into the just chatting stream of someone who's just an absolute nobody? Sounding pretty pessimistic, aren't I? Well, this is me rambling after all. Just trying to see if I could keep it up. Seeing some bigger people, they would just do nothing but chat for hours. And unfortunately, I'm not a good enough player for people to be constantly entertained by me just playing games. And also when I'm playing games, I feel like I'm talking the same way as I'm playing games. Something about just like talking non-stop. I feel like my thoughts aren't really connected. Like I keep pausing, I keep saying ums, I keep tangenting off other things. It's worse in a game though, especially because I'm also like sort of explaining what I'm doing. That's generally what I do when I stream. Like I'm just basically explaining my thoughts out loud. But occasionally there are certain lines of thinking that I don't fully explain. Because even though I do think in words, there are times when your thoughts just like jump from one place to another. Leaps in logic that are hard to explain quickly, or hard to explain at all, even to yourself. Last time I tried to do a just chatting stream, I was playing Dead Cells while I was at it because I could do the game sort of on autopilot. Not good autopilot, mind you. I'm sure my playing ability drops by at least 10% when I'm streaming. Probably because of the need to keep talking. That's for like all games. Dead Cells, I'm pretty sure, is no exception. And I did fail that run. It's been a while since I succeeded in running Dead Cells. Same thing with Fights in Tight Spaces, actually. One of my buddies actually got Fights in Tight Spaces because he saw me playing it. The music's great, the gameplay is great. I feel like it's not perfect, but it's pretty darn good. Pretty fun. It reminds me of a little bit of well, what I imagine John Wick would be like if he only used like fisticuffs. You know, punching and kicking instead of guns. A lot of maneuvering people around, and you see some of that in John Wick as well. I only seen the first two movies though. Still haven't seen the third one. Lots of movies I haven't seen. Speaking of which, I hear the new Batman movie is pretty good. I also hear it's a little different. That the director played it a little bit more like a horror flick, with Batman being the villain and the villains being the scared, terrified victims. I kind of like the idea. I do remember in like some really old cartoon, maybe it was just the Batman anime series, but he would introduce himself as the villain's worst nightmare. So him being portrayed as a horror figure kind of works. His theme sounds a little more ominous in that movie as well. Unfortunately, my buddy said something about how there's a Batman tax. Some theaters are charging more because it's Batman. Yeah, a little bizarre. I feel like there's a whole bunch of other movies. I know there's a whole bunch of other movies I haven't seen. I mostly go for superhero movies these days, I guess. I did see an ad for a movie called Everything Everywhere All at Once, something like that. A buddy of mine said that they really wanted to go see it. I want to say that someone else that they already saw it. They might have been talking about a different movie. We might have like tangented from one movie to another. I only saw a trailer about it at work though, like just a random ad on TV in the break room. Speaking of work, I don't know why I say speaking of. It's not really all that connected. Like in my brain, they're at least vaguely connected. I do want to do this whole streaming thing as a full-time job. VTubing? Sure. Just gotta figure out more of the details. But I do like streaming. Talking, playing video games. Doing that as a job sounds amazing. It's only possible, of course, that because there are people out there who are willing to throw money at people who are interesting enough to basically serve as a form of TV. And that's basically what it is, right? Alternate form TV. Watching someone else playing a video game. Sounds kind of weird. Doesn't sound as weird as it used to, though. But you know what else was weird to me back then? The idea of esports. You know, whole sports tournaments, whole audiences just watching people play video games. And then I realized that's regular sports too. Sports are considered games, just not video games. And people do pay a lot of money to just go and watch it. And there are people doing it professionally. They get their name out there, well known. Although in esports, generally, I don't think they are become like household names. You know, they're not quite that famous. Man, people just getting idolized for playing games. That'd be something else. Although there are quite a few big people. Should I say self-centered? I want to do this whole streaming thing. I do want to move into the VTubing side of things, but I haven't seen all that much. It was, however, some VTubers that got me into this whole streaming thing. There were times in the past where I thought about this whole streaming thing and decided not to. Decided I wasn't good enough to play games and let people watch me. But some of those people are entertaining. They're fun to watch. They're absolutely adorable sometimes. And then you see people make comments like, you know, this gives me the will to go on and stuff like that. Might seem a little melodramatic, but I mean, I can see it. There was a time when I had not really anything to look forward to except like one show. For a time, that show was Ruby, RWBY. I turned it off so long ago though. But yeah, for a while that was what I looked forward to every week. I just watched an episode of that. And it wasn't like some kind of like massive production. I mean, roosterteeth.com is decently big by now, but you know, the episodes were a bit inconsistent in length. It wasn't like watching a full-blown anime series and being like, okay, we're guaranteed 12 episodes of this. It's gonna just like air at the same time every week for the next, like, you know, 30 months or whatever. Or longer if it's longer than 12 episode series. And I mean, I guess Ruby was like that. It came out around the same time, but the episode length did vary. Action sequences were good though. Saw a bit of Monty's animations way back then. I'm still not sure how to pronounce his last name. O-U-M? Is it just Om? Monty Om? He had a, I think, Final Fantasy versus Dead or Alive animation. A few of them actually. The action was pretty intense, pretty awesome. I do like seeing action. I know a lot of people play video games and they don't care about the super long cutscenes, but I do like cutscenes. I do like playing my movies. Metal Gear Solid 4 is probably still the longest movie I've ever played. Such lengthy cutscenes. I think they did a good job tying up together a whole bunch of things in the past 3 MGS games. Metal Gear Rising is a spin-off, and some of it doesn't quite seem to jive quite well. Especially if it only takes place a few years after MGS4. Like, there was some wacky stuff going on in MGS4, but the number of police cyborgs in Metal Gear Rising, I mean, that whole game was a whole series of memes, like, and not just because they were talking about memes unironically in the game, but that game was stellar in its own way. Absolutely stellar. The music definitely gets you hyped up. Well, I say definitely gets you hyped up, but who am I talking about with you? Most people, I say, would get hyped up. I got hyped up. Some of the songs I really enjoy listening to. Even when the boss was completely wrecking me. I'm not good at video games, you know? And I'm even worse on stream. But I'm hoping I'll be entertaining enough. Hoping that I'll be able to get a little support here and there, and Should probably be supporting other people as well. I I feel like I'm following too many people. Like it's not that many, but my memory is terrible. I don't have a good attention span. Pretty sure I have a form of ADD, and if I might add, probably a form of OCD as well. And to add to that, there's just so many people and just not enough time. I Man, I just shut off completely. I was thinking about the last few follows that I got, and it was from a pretty interesting match of Hunt. Don't often talk to people in game, but it was kind of amusing what happened. I guess I'll just give the quick summary. So basically, I ran into this fight, started shooting someone, heard someone screaming. I didn't realize it was the person I was chasing with my shotgun and knife that was screaming. But she basically said something like, "I just want to live." And I kind of chatted with her after she ran out there. I ended up stabbing someone else though. The other duo did not talk to me. And I blasted the other person with a shotgun. We talked a little bit, and I left because I was like, you know what, screw it. I don't know where the bounty is. I don't want to accidentally shoot her or have her accidentally shoot me. I don't know if she's the backstabbing kind of person that would purposely shoot me. And there's two of them, so they could both collect the bounty. So I'm just like, nope, I'm out. And it was pretty amusing because both of them followed me along with one of their viewers. It turns out she was streaming. Both of them had something their names implied they were streaming. One was TTV, and I forgot what the other one was. So that was a fun time. Listen to me talking about Hunt again. I got nothing but Hunt on the brain. Sometimes when I'm just like sitting there, I can't say nothing to do. I always have plenty of things to do. But, you know, like I don't feel like doing anything. I don't feel like thinking too hard about anything. I got Hunt on the brain. So yeah, it is probably one of my most favorite games ever. A more recent game that I played a whole lot was Phasmophobia, and I know the game's been out for a while, but I joined the party pretty late. I've mentioned it, not here, not today, but in the past I have mentioned that Hololive has been a big influence on me. They're the people that made me think, hey, I want to become a streamer, and hey, if I'm entertaining enough, maybe I can do it. I have no confidence in my ability to be a full-blown comedian. I have no confidence in my ability to be a pro gamer. But I'm hoping I'll be interesting enough, when it comes to playing to your strengths, that's why I started writing on stream. I did want to be a writer in the past. I want to say being a streamer is more of a dream to me, more of a dream job to me than being a writer was. But there's still part of me that wants to be a writer. There's still part of me that writes once in a while. Not often, but I do write once in a while. So that's partly why I was thinking, you know, even when I make it big, I would try to, and on the way to trying to make it big, I'd be trying to write stories, read them out loud. My last one was a bit of a fiasco, though. I had a playlist of Yoasobi songs, so on the Twitch VODs, most of the first half was muted. And the second half, I accidentally muted myself. Yeah. A couple of folks joined the chat and thought I just got really into it. It was mostly just my usual friends. Friend of a friend that I met a long time ago. And they didn't realize that I had just muted myself. I was kind of like mumbling the words I was typing to myself, occasionally explaining why I made a decision here or a change there. And then at the end, I would read through the entire short story. I made some good progress. That stream was like 2.5 hours long, wrote like a 9-page story. Granted, it was size 14 font. I usually write in size 12 font, single space. But, actually, I used to write in size 12 font, Times New Roman. I'm not sure if that's the default for Google Drive, Google Docs, whatever you want to call it. I want to say it was Ario, and I want to say it was like size 11 font. Times New Roman is a bit more on the compact side, I think. Regardless, 9 pages of story. It was actually halfway decent. It spanned 2.5 hours. There were times in the past where I just randomly feel like writing, and I ended up pulling like an all-nighter, and it would just be like 10 pages. So, you know, pulling off something like this in just 2.5 hours felt pretty decent. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what else to do from there. Get better at games, try to stumble over my words less when streaming. English is my first language, and my only language I'm really fluent at. Some people might debate English being my first language, but it's definitely the only one that I'm really fluent at. And yet I still stumble over so many words. And it's not just the words that I've only seen in video games and never actually heard pronounced out loud, but a lot of common words too. And sometimes I just stumble over my own sentences, have these random little pauses, random little inhales. I wonder if you can hear that. I do have some kind of noise suppression on, but I don't have like a full-on standing mic or hanging mic with a pop filter on it. No, it's just a headset. It's good enough, although I do feel like some odd slight soreness when I put on my headset, almost as if it's too heavy for me. But the reviews online say that this thing is comfortable. That's like one of the things that they don't complain about. You know, they might complain about this or complain about that, but pretty much everyone agrees that the headset's comfortable. It's a HyperX Cloud Alpha S. I think that's what it is. I'm just like looking at my settings. And I mean, it's a headset. Covers my ears, provides a decent amount of noise, has a microphone. The microphone is flexible, which is both good and bad for me. It's good because I just push out of the way, so if I'm eating something, I don't get it like all over the mic. But it's kind of bad for me in that it's hard to get back to the exact same position. I never know if I'm like a little too quiet, a little too loud compared to usual, and maybe I should test before every single stream. But I'm hoping I got the mic position correctly. One of my previous pathologic videos, I noticed that when I was doing a particular voice, that there was some noticeable distortion. I wasn't sure if that was because of my mic position, or maybe it's the noise suppression. It's picking up some weird noise that sounds like background or ambient noise and canceled it out. Just looking at my avatar again. Thinking about what I was trying to do with the hairstyle. It does look like my character's got some curls on top. One with a slightly darker shade in the front, it looks like. Spiky. What was that dinosaur called with the spines on it? Was it literally just called Spinosaurus? But the spines were like a straight line going from front to back, and they wouldn't. They were more. I can't think of it. I want to say horizontal and vertical, but that's not quite right. More like the flatness would be on the left and right side instead of on the front and back, the way my horns are. Kind of amusing how they move around like that with the wind. There's no wind in my room right now. The window's closed. It does get kind of chilly outside, although I think I should keep the window open more often, air it out. Plus, well, summer's approaching. We're still spring. I mean, this is still April. Well, first half of April. Wow. Are we really approaching the halfway point of April already? Definitely some things I need to be working on. Need to have it done by the end of the month. But yeah, it's already April. We've had some hot days. Sometimes it gets real warm in here. Particularly you have a lot of people hanging out. You know, with the windows open, it seems like the cool air doesn't circulate fast enough. Not sure what it is. Might be the windows facing the south side. If you're in the northern hemisphere, having a window on the south side means more sunlight comes in. I remember I had a professor that talked about that kind of thing, showing us some more like, I guess, eco-friendly homes. Things that were taking advantage of a bunch of concepts that you might know about, but might not have seen in houses. Like, I forgot what they had in the walls exactly to basically keep it insulated. Keep it from getting cold too fast during the winter. And I have no idea if my room is good or bad at retaining heat or retaining its own temperature. It feels kind of chilly in the winter, but I don't know if that's just because the whole house is like that, or if this room's actually slightly worse. But on the other hand, it feels like this room heats up real easily in the summer. We don't have AC built into the walls or anything like that. It's nice having like these portable little units though, like, you know, just having a space heater is nice. In the winter, of course. In the summer, that thing should not be on. Yeah, that'd be a little ridiculous. Don't know what to do in the summer, really. It's hot. I'm not sure which I'd prefer. it being too hot or too cold. Used to think cold was better because you can just stack on more layers. And you know what? I thought of a reason why I might like the cold better. When it's hot out, there's bugs, like mosquitoes. I got a lot of itching bumps. Don't know, are they just bug bites or are they mosquitoes? I haven't heard any mosquitoes recently. Although my brother did say that he heard one. Well, he said he heard mosquitoes. I don't know if he said he heard one. I haven't heard any mosquitoes recently. At all. But itching bumps, you know. Itching bumps. Yeah, don't know quite how to feel about them. I mean, I know how I feel about itching bumps, but I don't know how, like, I don't know what I can do about them, I guess. I don't, I know it's just, I shouldn't scratch them, I shouldn't touch them. I'm aware of this. However, I am also the kind of, if I was a D&D character, I would have maybe slightly above average intelligence, and every time I say this, I'm like, it's so arrogant of me to say it. However, no wisdom stat, the one you use for will saves, you know, your measured willpower, your common sense, is lower than average. I am positive. Sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, you have no willpower, dude. You knew you were supposed to go to bed. You know that you have work in the morning. Why are you playing Hunt at this time? It's not always Hunt though. Sometimes when I get into a game, like there would be sometimes when I'd play a game and I'd be really into it for a few days and then I never touch it again. But during those few days, I might be playing late into the dead of night. Like I would be playing up to like this time or later. There have been times when the sun has come up. Yeah. I remember I had I think I just used Platt for his name. Had him on stream briefly. I was kind of streaming his stream. Well, I guess it was an okay stream. Basically had him play small anime while I just kept rambling on. Kind of like this, really. Except we were talking a little bit more about Hololive and just kind of chatting, you know? I don't remember why I brought this up. Oh, that's right. So he has this quote, or he had this quote in the past, that I still like. And there's nothing special about it. The quote was simply, "Oh God, is that the sun?" We've both had those moments. He doesn't have the best sleep habits. I don't have the best sleep habits. I can drag myself out of bed for work, but that doesn't mean I won't be like super tired and sleepy and trying to take a nap during my break time. And those naps do help. But sometimes I wonder, is it just that I'm physically tired? Or because the work itself puts me to sleep? There are certain tasks that definitely feel like they put me to sleep. Just can't do them. Just get distracted far too easily. I do have to do them. And it's super slow going because there are times I'd be zoning out just staring at the screen. And you know, I kind of wonder what my coworkers are thinking about all this. Especially because no one says anything if you have headphones on at work. Even though I could hear that person, I try to make it a point to remove the headphones when I'm talking to someone. Just so like they know for sure that I'm listening to them and it's maybe slightly more respectful. But yeah, there are times when I'm like, my coworkers probably don't have the best impression of me. Well, I mean, I don't think they have a terrible impression of me, but I wonder. Okay, now it makes it sound like I'm just this guy that everyone hates. I don't think anyone hates me. I think some people are actually kind of like me, or at least they tolerate me. I'm not close to anyone. At work, during break times, you see people kind of like go into their little groups, you know, that they'd be chatting with. A lot of times, it's like people who speak the same non-English language, and I'm always by myself. And I don't think it's because people dislike me. I just give off the impression of being a loner and wanting to be alone, especially if I happen to have my headset on and I'm watching something on my phone. I imagine it makes me look a little hard to approach. But I do wonder what they think when they see me like just like standing there at my computer, just kind of like staring off into space. Sometimes I do stand. I don't have a standing desk at work, but at home I could sit in front of the computer and play games all day. But I do pace around. At work, I feel like I'm looking for excuse to get up from my desk. Sometimes I'd be like standing and doing my work. Now I could use the keyboard fine, I could use the mouse fine. Sometimes I would go into the warehouse to like figure out this or that. And there were times when I could just call someone, but I'm like, no, I'm just gonna walk over. The warehouse is like literally right next door. So yeah, it doesn't take that much effort. I mean, it might take him another couple of minutes than just calling them. But sometimes nice just to walk back and forth. And I've noticed at work there were times when instead of just taking a nap in the car, I would just pace around the building. I wonder how that looks. Wonder what the security guard thinks seeing that on the camera. But it is nice sometimes. There are other times though when I'm like, I just want to lie down. Especially if you have like itching bumps on like I should stop talking about that stuff. It's probably a little bit gross. But like let's say you have itchy bumps on like the side of your leg or something like that and you're wearing jeans, it's just kind of rubbing against it every time you walk. So yeah, those days I'm not too keen on pacing around the building. Yeah, they're kind of irritating. I was just thinking about work and how we actually had donuts recently. One of the clients just sent us some donuts as a gift, so that was nice. And then the same day, I met up with some friends after work, and we had donuts. I do like donuts. Yep, 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 yep. It's not my most favorite food in the world. I don't know what my most favorite food in the world would be. Probably French fries. I do like a lot of greasy stuff, pizza, fried chicken, French fries. I am not the most fit person in the world. Not exactly. I'm not. I'm not overbeat. I just combine obese and overweight. I'm neither of those. But the fact is, I don't have a lot of muscle, and I do have a belly. So yeah, I should probably work on that. We've been hiking recently. Usually like once every week or every other week, and it helps. But I guess I haven't gone on an actual run for a while, and doesn't help with my arm strength. Got skinny arms. You can't see them under these long sleeve shirts, though. Not that I usually wear long sleeve shirts. Usually t-shirts. T-shirts and shorts. That's all I need. Fashion-wise, it's terrible. I don't know a whole lot about fashion, though. I just wear whatever's comfortable. But even if you've given up on romantic relationships, sometimes it's nice just to dress a little nicer when you go out. Hang out with people and not look like a total slob. Having shirts with like rips in them and that kind of stuff. Not trying to throw any shade on anyone in particular. But there have been times when I'll be like, I like the shirt, but it's got a hole in it. At most, I could wear it at home. Just gotta remember to like, change when I go out. There are times though I'm tempted to like not change. So like, let's say I'm just wandering to the convenience store. Heck, I won't even throw in shoes. Just like slip on some sandals or something. I just realized what song is playing right now. I'm not familiar with this tune. Oh, that's why I'm not familiar with this tune. At some point, we jumped over to Humankind. Oh, that's fancy. Humankind's also by Amplitude Studios. It's a bit more like Civ than Endless Legend, even though Endless Legend is compared to Civ. But I was like, it sounds familiar, but not quite. That's because I'm not sure if I really heard it. Maybe I heard it like once. It didn't really appeal to me, but who knows? Let's give it a few years. Maybe the game will change, update, and I should make sure to keep one of those windows up so I can make sure the face tracking is working. And so I could adjust my head slightly when I see it like slant. Yeah. There are lyrics. Or vocals at least. I don't know if this is a real language, if it's constructed language, if it's not a language at all. Endless thing. I was about to say endless language. Endless Legend has a special special place in my heart, I think. It's a 4X game, which I don't really play. 4X stands for, I don't remember the right order, but it was Explore, Expand, Exploit, and Exterminate. An easy way to think of it would be a real-time strategy, but on a bigger scale, and sometimes not real-time. Endless Legends is definitely turn-based. It's a fantasy game, but with a sci-fi backdrop. And probably the single thing that I like the absolute most about Endless Legend And it does a lot of things well. But the thing I like the most is because these are fantasy factions. And not necessarily like traditional fantasy factions. It's not just dwarves and elves. There's a faction that's kind of elf-like though. But you have some drastically different factions. And they have some gimmicks that you wouldn't imagine seeing in a game that only has human factions. For example, the Broken Lords faction, probably my favorite, are disembodied souls in armor. Or, well, I guess they're not disembodied. They're bound to their armors. So they're living on suits of armor. They used to be human. But the setting, Orica, the planet, periodically undergoes some extreme winters. And that was their method of surviving. They still take penalties just like everyone else during the winter, but presumably it helped them barely survive environments that they would have just straight up died in. Anyway, the Broken Lords, being living suits of armor, have no use for food. They use... I don't want to get into a whole endless legend lecture. Let's just call it gold. It's actually called dust. It's probably nanomachines. They don't know this. They're all like medieval fantasy races. But yeah, everyone uses dust. They use dust for more things because everything that involves food now is used with dust. And then there's some things that don't have connection to food that still involve dust. Mainly healing. Like, you would think food would have to do with that. No, food has to do with population, with growing your workers. Let's see, what else? The necrophages. Generated from the name... the name, I guess, just means Death Eater. But not the Harry Potter kind. And these guys would do stuff like devour corpses. They are not good at farming, so they get less food from the environment. But they get, like, stockpiles of stuff from fighting other people. In addition, they are such a violent, warlike race. They're like, think like zombie bugs, like zombie bug people. They can't do a lot of the diplomacy stuff. And I guess that's not too difficult to implement in a game that only has human factions, but you would think that everyone would be able to negotiate. And I guess to a minor extent they can. But like one interesting feature of that game is that you would go to the minor factions, basically the random like village people, I guess. The barbarians and civilizations, and you wouldn't get little quests from them. With the necrophage, you can't do that. Can you still bribe them to take over that village? Probably. What they're good at, though, is killing everything. And they have one unit that basically creates zombie units for them. So they kill everything, and if you don't manage to wipe them out, they produce more troops, and they continue killing everything. Combat heavy faction. But yeah, there's a lot of fancy stuff. Let's see. I mentioned the Broken Lords, living suits of armor, the necrophages, the zombie bug people. Roving clans are human. They're merchants. They can't declare war, but they have some control over the in-game marketplace that can make it very annoying for other people. There's so many factions, so why can't I think of them? Let's see, the Forgotten were the spy faction added with the espionage DLC called Shadows. The Shifters, I keep thinking they're like moths, but they're more like white bat people. Their wings, though, are like these floating panels that hover above their backs. They have different stats depending whether it's summer or winter. They get more aggressive in winter. Diplomatic policies involving war don't cast as much influence. Interesting concept. You have the cultists of the Eternal End. They have one city, but their city can grow very big, and they have other ways of getting troops. The Mycera. Fungus people. They also only have one city. They could put fungal growths everywhere on the map, though I don't exactly know much about them. They're one of the few factions I haven't played yet, despite me having all the DLCs for that game. Okay, you know what? I rambled on about endless legend. Like, why am I rambling on about specific games? That's weird. I'm pretty sure that's not what a just chatting stream's about. Although I'm pretty sure if you're just chatting, you can chat about whatever you like. Especially if no one shows up in chat to say anything to you. That's kind of on me, though, right? Like, who in their right mind would do a random stream at 2 in the morning? Particularly if they didn't have a big audience to begin with. And their main audience, friends or friends of friends, they all live in more or less the same area, so of course they're gonna be asleep at this time. I wonder if I should just wrap it up here. I could ramble on about games. It's the fact that I like games so much that I'm doing this whole streaming thing, but I mean, if you want to see the games, I have some playthroughs of them on YouTube, so yeah. Some of them. Trying to put a lot of playthroughs on there. Maybe I should think more about what I want to do as a streamer. Of course I should. I keep telling myself I should. Play games, certainly. I want to say I gravitate towards stealth game, tactics-based games, like turn-based tactics stuff, I think. Sometimes. Sometimes. I think I want to like try to advertise more niche games. Been playing a lot of random stuff. Actually, I haven't been playing that much. I feel like I mostly game on stream these days. I suppose there is Arc Knights, but I treat that kind of like a daily chore. Other than that, like most of my gaming has been on stream. Other than Hunt. Hunt has taken up too much of my time. Way too much of my time. And let's see, I do some collabs once in a while. And yes, I've done collabs with Hunt. There was a time when Lions was trying to get us to do Vermintide 2. Seems like that has trailed off a little bit. That was a fun game though. Had my group back in the day. We did well. We weren't the best gamers in the world, but we made some progress. We kept at it. We got pretty decent working together as a team. Another team game that we tried to do, and we did do some collabs with this, would be Phasmophobia. Like I said, I was late to the party. And one of the things that that influenced me to be a streamer, well, no, that's not quite right. One of the things that brought my attention, that brought Hololive to my attention. There we go, weak in English. Was that clip of Fubuki going yabe? It was just a cute little moment. But it caught my attention. Sometimes that's all it takes. Just a little moment to go, huh, that's kind of neat. Let's go check out what these people are about. And I do like a lot of them. Although it seems like other than Fubuki herself, a lot of the Hololivers and the Hollow Stars people as well. That's a distinction I gotta make. Hololive Productions is the company in charge, well, and their parent company is Cover Corp. But Hololive usually refers to the female members. Hollow Stars usually refers to the male members. There's a lot less male members than female members. They're outnumbered like 6 to 1 or something like that. 7 to 1, I think, at this point. You count the Indonesian and the English branches. And Hollow Stars only has a Japanese branch currently. Bit of a shame. Guess people do like hearing girls' voices more often. I don't know too much about them. I don't understand Japanese. Gotta rely on the clippers, and I don't know if it's just the algorithm or they just don't exist, or if I need to like look them up specifically or something like that. But I haven't seen too many clips on them. It's hard for me to get a grasp of their personalities. The Hollow Stars people, I mean. I'm sure they're still entertaining people, and I have seen bits of translated clips and their interaction with the girls, and just moments I popped into their streams, and they are pretty amusing sometimes. But going back to what I was saying, as far as I can tell, other than Fuki, none of them are particularly good at Phasmophobia. More accurately, I should say none of them are particularly experienced at it. What level is she now? I don't know. Like 400? The others are level like 30, 60, and 5. Level in that game is just a representation of how much you played. Once you've unlocked everything, which comes fairly early on, then just represents how much you've played. It does go faster if you actually survive matches, accomplish tasks. But the fact is, I'm like level 200, so even though I haven't played a while, even though I haven't played that much, it still feels like so much compared to some of those other folks out there. Of course, the fact that they haven't played that much just means that Phasmophobia isn't really their kind of game. I gotta say though, Phasmo is the most fun I've had being scared in a long time. Possibly ever. And listen to me going back to talking about games again. Of course I'm talking about games. I'm a gamer. Is it even accurate to call myself a variety streamer? I'm a variety gaming streamer. My friends have told me that I should... Well, no, not my friends. One friend has wondered if I should maybe use an avatar or webcam. I wasn't planning to use like a webcam just showing my actual face, simply because a lot of those big shot VTubers that I know about, including, the groups I just mentioned, don't show their real faces or use their real names. And depending on where I want to go, maybe I don't want too much personal information floating around. Oh, I've talked about a lot of personal stuff, but there's some stuff that I've kind of avoided. Like, I don't use my real name, for example, and I prefer that my friends, even the ones who know me in real life, don't use my real name on stream. So yeah, there's that. Just, I guess, following in the footsteps of the senpai, so to speak. And then of course there's actually getting a proper avatar. This one, I guess, it's not terrible. Not terrible. The first time I tried using a virtual avatar, I think I used it for one episode of Embrace Cold Soul. And my only viewers at the time were one of my buddies who would pop in sometimes, and he's not too fond of virtual avatars. He'd prefer either see their actual face or see nothing at all. That another guy that popped in more or less had the same opinion. I don't think it was exactly the same, but he just doesn't like virtual avatars. And I guess I can understand. It's a bit of a... Well, to me, I'm used to it. But it could be a bit of an uncanny valley effect. By which I mean... I don't know if it's always called uncanny valley, but I guess I should explain it anyway. So the uncanny valley effect is when you have something that looks almost human, but just slightly off. Like, like one of those... I'm not quite sure what they are exactly. One of those robots with like human-like faces. They don't just have like a crack where the jaw is. The jaw comes up and down like one of those ancient wooden puppets. But they actually look almost human. But they're just slightly off. Just enough that you look at it and feel unnerved because something feels wrong. That right there is the uncanny valley effect. If you see a smiley face, an anime face, it doesn't look that strange. You look at a car, look at the headlights, the grill, and think, oh, this looks like a smiley face. Doesn't look like that wrong. Most avatars, I would say, don't have that uncanny valley effect, because I mean, anime doesn't look like a realistic face. But maybe that's a bit of it. Either that, or maybe they just don't like the anime aesthetic. Or at least, not on the streamer? Not quite sure. In case you're wondering why I was like looking all the way back there, I was getting my glass of water. Yum, water. Been talking for a bit over an hour non-stop. I wonder if my throat could actually keep it up if I keep talking. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm slightly tired. Maybe because I haven't gotten the best rest lately. Do you feel just a tiny bit of soreness in my throat? I doubt it's because I'm sick. But of course, if I want to do this whole thing as a profession, I'm going to have to be talking for hours and hours and hours and hours. Currently, I don't even stream that much. Why? Because I have a full-time job. But I want streaming to be my full-time job. Which means I'm going to have to talk a lot more. Like, I'm not even doing crazy voices right now. I'm not even speaking loudly. I'm actually a little worried this is a little too monotone for y'all. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell, I guess. Playing video games? Not particularly good at them. But I like them. I play a variety. My voice isn't the most exciting. I'm not the best like improv comedy. But I do think of some funny things sometimes. At least I like to think so. I'm hoping you would agree. But that's not for me to decide, huh? Anyway, I probably should call it quits. I wanted to find something to wrap up this conversation on, but I don't have a whole lot. I've already thought about like what I intend to do as a streamer, some of the things that influence me. I guess I was kind of vague on my influences. I guess I can talk about that just a little bit more. So the whole thing about people going to some of those VTubers channels and leaving comments like, this gives me energy to keep going through the day. Makes me feel like there's a point to life. Might seem a little melodramatic. But, I kind of like that stuff. And I can kind of sympathize. I think I would be a bit more of a depressing streamer compared to some of those people. There are times when I will acknowledge that it feels hard to go on. And I won't always be like, yeah, everything will turn out fine in the end. everything will be okay. Life is great. I mean, I feel like pessimism's nothing new, but there are times when like I can't just encourage people too hard. Like that sounds weird, encouraging people too hard. I can't just say everything's gonna be all right because I know that even if you even if you know it's gonna be all right, even though I know it's gonna be all right, sometimes when things go bad, you just kind of suffer and just kind of sits with you for a while. And then there are moments when you hang out with positive people and you feel like you're not good enough to hang out with them because you're not being positive enough. So, I mean, usually if you're depressed, you do want to see someone positive, you do want to see someone awesome. But I guess I would like to be a sort of safe haven for all the depressed bastards out there. I want to emulate those other streamers that I've seen in being that shining beacon for others. But maybe I'll be a bit of a different beacon. Rather than this blinding radiance that honestly, hmm, I should say honestly, it makes it sound like I've been lying to you all this time. Their radiance, and this is going to definitely sound a little melodramatic, their radiance is like the blazing sun. I'm flying towards it like Icarus on wings of wood and wax, and I'm trying to see how close I can get without my wings melting and me plummeting to my death. They are mesmerizing. To some extent, I want to be like them. But even if it's not as a shining beacon, the words I used earlier, safe haven, does kind of match my intent. I want to be a bit of a sanctuary for all the depressed bastards out there. And I don't want to be depressing, I don't want them to be depressed, but I'm thinking my personality is just different enough that some people might find solace hanging out with me. I don't know if solace is what I'm going for exactly, but I want to be that kind of person, the person that when they're not feeling great, they can hang out with me, and I'm hoping you'll hang out with me even if you do feel great. So, I guess that's all I have to say. Last stuff, well, I do have a Discord channel. If you ever feel like talking about whatever, feel free to stop by. I do my best to listen, and I know my experiences are pretty limited, but I'll listen. I can talk. If that's all you need, if you just need a stranger to talk to, I can be that stranger. This Discord server is fairly empty. I don't mind new people showing up. I don't mind hearing about people's life stories. That was one of the interesting things about cutting hair, I guess. My memory's not the greatest, but I did like talking to people about their lives. So yeah, I guess I should do the usual outro stuff, huh? Thanks for stopping by. Hope you had some fun. Hope you keep safe, and maybe I'll see you around. Until then, goodbye.